Welcome back to the Barca Breakdown. My name is Adam. I'm here with the Yus.
What's up, guys?
Please hit that subscribe button, or if you're looking and listening to us on podcasts, go to YouTube, Barca Breakdown. Hit that subscribe button, please, because we got a big video, Yus. We got some thoughts about Koeman the day after the Clasico, and also reacting to the fans, rushing his car as he tried to exit the Camp Nou after that 2-1 defeat to Real Madrid. And then we're going to talk about some awful news, as, when it rains, it pours, right? Because there are some injury news that really leave us scratching our heads and upset and worried, because Fati is hurt, Frenkie De Jong has discomfort, Pique was on painkillers, and Pedri also suffered a setback. But let's get into it, Yus, because now we're a day after, right, the Clasico. And, of course, the victory was not what we wanted. And, of course, there's a lot of shame on Koeman for losing 3 Clasicos in a row, the first coach in, 85 years to do that. But there's also this feeling that, hey, you know what? We had a great game last weekend where we won. Not a great game, but we had a good game. We come into the Clasico, and it felt like the game was there for us to take, right? And I think that's one interesting thing as I kind of listened to some of the different thoughts and feelings after the game, because I heard, Jamie from TalkFCB, who's very emotional, and I don't mean that in necessarily a bad way. He just loves the club, and he feels like Laporta needs to do something now because he doesn't see, as we had mentioned in our Post-Clasico video, the progress and the development over time that shows us that things will change in the future. And then on the Barcelona Podcast side, I saw a little bit more of a detached, unemotional message, which was like, hey, if we keep our expectations tempered and we understand that top 4 is really the goal this season, as much as it hurts as a Barca fan to say that, then, winning 3 points against Valencia means a lot more for that race than it does losing, 3 points against Real Madrid. I mean, no one wants to lose the Clasico at home, but with the team in the state it is in, and with, Real Madrid looking pretty threatening, in games besides the Clasico, we have to kind of look at it that way. And, what we're really talking about here is the fact that after the game, a bunch of fans went and they, hovered around Koeman's car. They were yelling at him, telling him to get out of the club, things like that, right? And it's concerning because first and foremost, we have to say, our emotions as fans should never get into a way where we're making players, coaches, the board, other fans feel threatened or like their safety is in danger. It's especially concerning because Koeman has heart issues, right? Don't want to have him have a heart attack or anything, and then his wife is in the car, which, also brings into play a totally innocent bystander. And Koeman is a club legend. Even if he's not doing what we want, the board has the ability to change things, even if we may want Koeman to resign so we don't have to pay him. And so, I think that's our big message, right, is that we shouldn't be hostile to people, right? If you're mad, go to the game, whistle, throw up the, whatever you want to throw up just to make your message known, but you shouldn't be encroaching on people's safety. But I want to hear from you, Yus, because after the Clasico, we have a day to sit back and think, how do you feel about Koeman? How do you feel about, the emotional takes of we need him out now because we're not progressing, or more rational take possibly that, hey, he's going to cost us a lot of money to leave. Our goal should really be top 4 and to make it out of the Champions League group stage, and switching a manager now won't help us accomplish that.
Well, I think I'm kind of in the middle ground of TalkFCB and the Barcelona Podcast, in which I think we definitely need to temper our expectations coming into the season. We knew we had a lot of problems. We just came out of the whole debacle of Bartomeu, and we had Laporta promising all these things. And so I think at the end of the day, we definitely have to look at what players we have, what players we lost, our healthiness of the players, our financial situation. There's a lot of things to stack against us this season. And, it's a transition year. We have a lot of young players. So I think, temper expectations like Dan from the Barcelona Podcast says. But at the same time, I think TalkFCB and Jamie have a point, right? We are a team who is used to winning. We're a team that is used to playing a certain style. We're a team that, has some great history. And I think we're slowly losing our identity. And so I think that's where the frustration from Jamie kind of comes from, is that hey, this is our team, but I feel like it's not the same. Obviously things have changed, but there's some inherentness of Barcelona that has changed, and I think that's where we kind of have a difficult time adjusting, right? Sure. So at the end of the day, what
I think is interesting is the identity thing doesn't bother me as much because you saw, right, Luis Enrique when we won the treble, right? You saw him use a much more counterattacking style and take advantage of Messi, Neymar, and Suarez rather than the classic, Guardiola tiki-taka style we saw back in that golden era under Laporta. And, on one hand, I definitely see what Dan and the Barcelona podcast are saying about how, hey, if our goal is top 4, like that Valencia win last weekend, we looked at that game with the kind of skepticism that style was going to help us win against Real Madrid, and we were right. At the same time, though, that's a big 3 points, and so it's going to be hard this season as fans to kind of figure out what lane we need to be in to navigate the waters and see where we need to be. I mean, I think the biggest thing that's frustrating is that there doesn't seem like there is a step being taken forward, right? And we mentioned this after the Clasico, but it's just a continued issue of players not getting better once they come to Barcelona, which is really treacherous because Barcelona should be something you aim for, and then once you achieve that, it inspires you to understand that you've made it to one of the big clubs of the world, the biggest club in the world, and then you want to take your play to the next level. And the way we've seen Depay kind of not figure it out, and us not employing him in a good position where he's running at defenders, having players to connect to. The way we've seen Frenkie De Jong, he seems very lost this season, not sure if he should be, sometimes he's in like a back 2 with Busquets as like a pivot. Sometimes he is trying to be a little bit more offensive minded, but can't really because of Pedri's injury. And so, I'm upset with Koeman. I'm not happy that he's our manager, but I think because of the money it's going to cost to replace him, and because of the lack of good replacements we have now, I feel like it's shooting ourselves in the foot a bit to be out there every day, every week saying we need to Koeman out. We need to Koeman out. I mean, I feel like Dembele is one of my hopes that hopefully when Dembele comes back, he'll be able to offer us that speed and that quickness on the break that could be something to really help us out. And so let us know in the comments, what you think, where you stand with Koeman right now. I mean, I know no one's happy, right? There's no question about it. No one's happy. But how do we sort of manage how we feel about this club and the team, and what, as fans, how can we support the team best to achieve what we want, which is winning more games, right? Is it causing too much divisiveness if everyone on social media is creating so much toxicity that fans are going to his car and attacking him? I think that's probably a step too far, but where do we need to be? And it's the hard part here, is it's not going to get easier, because this is some of the news around injuries that we've heard today, the day after the Clasico, that really worry me, right? One, Ansu Fati has a knee that's not feeling good, which I know sounds really scary, but according to reports, it's because of a collision during the Clasico, and it's actually not his knee that he had surgery on 2 or 3 times. It's actually his other knee. So there are some good signs that he'll be able to play again very soon. Frenkie De Jong, he had discomfort before the game in his hamstring, but Frenkie himself and Koeman decided to play him, and now he has a hamstring little minor injury, and he's going to be out 7 to 10 days. There's also news that Pique had to be on painkiller injections to make the game. Jordi Alba also had some sort of painkillers given to him to help put him in the game. And then finally, I think one of the things that's most concerning, besides those two during the game, is that Pedri is now having a setback. It's a little bit confusing, according to reports, whether it's a setback or his initial injury just didn't recover as quickly as possible, but it's looking like he's going to be out 3 more weeks until after the national team break in November. So, oh my God, how are we going to deal with this? I mean, what does this say about the team? What does this say about where we're going to be in the next few La Liga games, in the Champions League? What are you thinking?
Well, okay, one, and first and foremost, the most important thing here is I feel like our Barca Physio Team has really failed us here, and we've seen this time and time again. We cannot keep our players healthy. We cannot keep injury prevention. Whatever's going on our team, we need to make a major change, or we need to get somebody else that knows what they're doing to keep our players healthy and to prevent re-injuries, right? Because you're just saying here that, one of the youngest players, Pedri, who just played a phenomenal calendar year, is now injured, and he has another setback. This is awful. But, what I really am not happy about is that we can't seem to consistently practice well with each other with all these injured players, right? Let's not forget we have Araujo out. Let's not forget we have or Aguero just came back.
Aguero just got back, yep.
And so,
it kind of goes to what Koeman was saying, right? Which is the whole narrative of the last 2 months. You can go ahead and watch our video about Koeman and Laporta and, the different deadlines we had set where if you're not improving in these 3 games, we're going to fire you, is what allegedly was said by Laporta to Koeman. But Koeman the whole time has said, hey, I need the team back healthy for me to really show what I can do this season. And, it kind of goes back to our discussion first half of this video about, whether Koeman is going to help us improve. I do understand that it's hard for him to show a steady improvement when our healthiest players aren't playing, right?
Sure.
And there has to be some blame. I think you're right. Most of it is on the physio team because whether it was Dembele, whether it was Messi's pubalgia, whether it's any of the players we're talking about now, there has been a continued issue with players staying healthy and players recovering completely on our team. At the same time, though, Koeman and Laporte are right. Him and Frenkie De Jong deciding, hey, Frenkie should play through a hamstring injury. I feel like a hamstring injury in soccer is never going to get better somehow playing on it. The fact that, Fati, De Jong, Pique, Alba all had to be playing hurt or have some sort of painkillers or getting hurt during the game is really not a good sign for us. And so, I'm frustrated. I don't know what this is going to mean. I mean, I think this is the time where Sergio Aguero, I know he's coming off an injury and we don't want to rush him. I think he's going to prove like really pivotal, not only because we need a striker, but also because, we're having other injuries with Fati up front and none of us want to see Luke De Jong up there. Right?
That's what I was about to say.
I think it also means that we need to give Ricky Puig some time, right? Frenkie De Jong's hurt. Pedri's hurt. I mean, Ricky Puig, after that Clasico, we saw you guys in the comments. We saw some people on Twitter talking about, hey, Ricky Puig is the type of player we need to make those incisive passes, the type of player who will find, any of our offensive players, if they actually make a run for once, he'll be able to find them and dribble the ball upfield. And so it's going to be tough. Do you have any final thoughts about it? Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So, okay, do you think it would be best for Koeman to have not played Frenkie De Jong in this situation and played Ricky Puig or played Sergio Roberto just to cover that midfield spot?
Well, now he has a loss and an injury.
Exactly.
Right? Whereas the other way, he would just have a loss.
Well,
so clearly it's worse for him to play Frenkie and the loss.
And so that's what I'm trying to get at here is like, while the physio team is definitely to blame in some of these aspects, Koeman seems to I think he should take charge in this kind of situation and be like, hey, you should not play. I'm going to play somebody else. If you're out for 7 to 10 days, you're going to miss at least 2 games, and I need you there, right? I mean, obviously they didn't know 7 to 10 days, but you get my point.
It's hard because players will always say, I want to play.
Of course.
So
of course.
That again, I feel like, if the coach says, hey, can you play? They say that you can play. The really red line has to be the physio team, which is where we circle around to the main issue with this team.
Sure.
And there are reports I saw that Koeman met with the physio team saying like, hey, what the hell is going on here? We need to tighten it up, right? But Yus, let's just refocus, right? We got a game coming up this week on Wednesday against Rayo Vallecano. A game I really think Barca should win.
We have to win this, please.
I mean, but Yus, Rayo is on currently 16 points, one more than us. Although we have a game in hand against them, it is not a good sign that against Rayo we are looking at points and games in hands. 9 games into the season, but everyone pray. If you want to make us happy, hit that subscribe button.
Please.
Let us know in the comments your thoughts. Thank you guys so much. Tell your friends about the Barca Breakdown. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.